Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sadhana, and today I am here to share with you a whole bunch of tarot decks based on a very creative theme. Okay, you have a look in the description box below. There are a couple of also very inspiring videos that I really recommend you have a look at. And if coffee is your thing, which is the theme around which the decks are being shared today, please have a look at both Robin's video and Annette's video. Super well done versions of this tarot tag. And so, because I am sharing so many decks, I want to dive right into them. And to help you along the way, I have an image as well as the prompt that I'm going to put up on the screen. And so we're going to start with the espresso shot. And this, the idea here, and I had quite a few different decks for each of these prompts, and I narrowed it down to two. And these two are very, very punchy decks. And I have showed them both before on my channel. And one is the primordial, and the other is the Oshozen Tarot. And the reason that I feel that these decks fit into this category is that there is no holds barred in this particular deck. And in the Osho Zen Tarot, and this is a trimmed copy of it, it does have keywords on it. So if you are new to this deck, it's quite easy to read, but it is a very direct message. And there is, as far as the espresso component goes, I want to say that the suit of clouds is very hard hitting in this suit. And this is one particular deck that doesn't let you get away with anything. So I find with the Osho Zen that the messages come through loud and clear. There's also a lot of inspiration that comes in this deck. Of course, this is another cloud card, and the messages are, yeah, rather strong, rather strong. Now, on the softer side of this deck, the suit of water, the suit of rainbows, they're also very easy to read, and it kind of takes you into a very special place. And I think this is definitely worthy of the title Espresso Shot. So welcome to those of you that are popping into the chat today. And I have to say, I like that you're sharing the drinks that you are having. So welcome, Tamiana and Saskia, Donna. Assam tea definitely counts. Earl Grey tea for Saskia. And welcome to Dee as well, too. Yes, I also have to agree with Dee. I think Barbara Walker shoots straight from the hip. The primordial tarot is not everyone's cup of coffee, that is for sure. But there is something that is so energetic about this deck, and the expression of emotion that is on the faces, the energy that is portrayed through the body language is quite intense. It's quite intense. And if you are trying to clear up something, you don't want anything. There's no what's the expression? Skirting around the bush, dancing around the bush with this. The message is going to come through loud and clear, and it can feel very supportive ancestrally as well too. This is one that I wouldn't work with lightly. And you'll see there's lots of other categories that are coming up looking for a softer edge, and this is not the deck for that. While there are quite a few changes in this deck as far as the descriptions of even major arcana, you can really feel these paintings, and they work. they definitely work. Now, this deck is based on an older version of the deck called the Tarot of Origin. And so, yeah, you might know of this deck by another name. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now we are going to go on to a theme that for some people, and it's funny, you know, when I read that the drip, that has a connotation in English, but also the drip is something that is it's a little bit watered down. It's a little bit watered down, and I feel that there is a similarity to the final prompt, the 13th prompt, but let's just go for this one as it is. So the drip is a deck that is simple, accessible, and gets the job done. And I don't know who is a fan of drip coffee, but sometimes we just need that direct, uh, the simplicity and the spaciousness. And I think what I'm looking for here in a tarot deck is one where there is space, but also the message feels clear. Now, this is the Field Tarot. This is a mass market deck by Hannah Fofana. And I love how her name rhymes. There is a beauty in this deck. I have done a few videos comparing this deck to other ones that look a little bit similar, and I love the space that this offers for reading and clarity. And the other thing that I also appreciate with this deck is that um, I can read it numerologically, and on the minor pips are um, it takes me back to a simpler way of reading, and I don't get lost in the artwork. Okay. There's also some really interesting correspondences that have been built in among the minors and the court cards, and intuitively, it's also a very, very easy reader. Yeah. So this is my first example for the drip. And the other one that I would recommend if you're looking for something that is clear, something that is um, accessible, and that is Stephen Wright's deck. This is one that I've had for a long time, and I really recommend this deck, especially to beginners, because it is one that is color coded, and you don't find too many tarot decks that have color coding um, that's done this well. The fact also that everything is in silhouette makes this a very accessible deck. And so I think this is not shuffled very well because I was teaching with it, but you can see the yellow is connected to the element of air. Now in this deck, so the Fool is connected to the element of air, of course, and um, the suit of swords in this deck is primarily yellow, but the major minor correspondences don't match up perfectly. This is also a deck that feels very inclusive, and so I think this fits the drip category for being accessible, and it definitely gets the job done. Welcome, Mary Beth. Okay, now where are we going to go from here? Very different kind of energy, and that is one that takes a little bit more time to prepare. And that is pour over. And this is a deck that I feel like most of the decks in my library fit into this category. I really do enjoy taking my time with tarot decks, and this is not something that I shy away from. I have no problem taking my time with a tarot deck. Okay, so I've chosen 2 here as well, and I'm really apologize here. I'm very organized, and I can't even see the 2 that are in this category because there's so many decks on the table. Here we go. All right. I did a deep dive with the Margaret Peterson Tarot, and if you are interested in learning to read a little bit more intuitively and looking at symbology through layers of acrylic painting. One of the things you should know with this particular tarot deck is that these canvases were repainted, some of them many, many times. And so you are seeing various layers and intentions of the card hidden in the painting. So the canvas may have been wiped off, not completely, and then repainted. This is a really brilliant deck, and I have to say, of all the deep dives I have done on my channel, this was one of my favorites. And taking the time to explore um, little hidden treasures in this deck that I hadn't found or seen before. And I absolutely love the correspondences that are associated with the suit of cups and the suit of fire. Margaret Peterson seems to have been a very well connected person spiritually with lots of different disciplines. And I think she built in an abundance of layers into this deck. And I would say that this is definitely a deck worthy of taking your time with. And if you need support, to come back to my channel when you have some time and check out the Margaret Peterson deep dive because it's connected on my on the front page of my channel. This is another mass market deck that a lot of people shy away from because of the tremendous amount of detail that is in the pictures. This is another older deck. This is trimmed on 3 sides, and this is the Shadowscapes Tarot. And if you have an opportunity to really take your time with this deck and to look a little more closely into the pictures. There is a lot of magic and mystery that appears in this artwork. And one of the reasons this is in the pour over category is because you need to sit with the images, the paintings, get in really nice and close. Sometimes this even requires a magnifying glass and to find messages in the little tiny details that are hidden. This suit, I have to tell you, is just, the suit of pentacles is so very, very beautiful. And it's almost as if Stephanie Pui Moonlaw has, I don't know how she did it in this deck, the way that she captured the light. It's so very, very beautiful. So very beautiful. Yeah. And there is, if you're interested, there is an art book that is, it looks like a children's picture book. It's that size. It's oversized, larger than 8.5 by 11. I think it's a little bit larger than A4. Maybe it is an A4 size book. And it has the major arcana only with A4 size paintings of the majors. And it is simply, simply beautiful. So this is the Shadowscapes Tarot. The guidebook is by Barbara Moore, and the artwork is by Stephanie Pui Moonlaw. Yeah, definitely worthy of taking some time. So that's the pour over. Love the conversation that is going on in the chat. Hi, Stephanie and Warrior Girl 13. Welcome. Anybody else that's coming in? It's lovely to have you here. Hi, Ink. Yeah. And many of these decks I'm sharing with you, I'm not really commenting on guidebooks today just because of time. Um, but yeah, it is this is definitely any deck where Barbara Moore has participated as a co-creator, you're gonna get something very special because she does write a magnificent, magnificent guidebook. I wanted to take the cafe latte in a little bit different direction. If you have been watching this tarot tag, you'll see the same decks offered here in quite a few videos. And so I was thinking about this, a deck that's well received and highly palatable. And what I'm offering here, yes, Donna, they're going to go their own way. Um, I'm going to share with you two older decks here. They're both still available in some form or another. And they are, while they are Rider-Waite-Smith clones, there's something in the artwork of these decks that it's haunting. There's something haunting here. And but at the same time, there's no violence, there's no, and I use the word piercings. I know somebody who described the cards, a lot of tarot decks have cards that are dripping blood and things like that. I'm showing you the major arcana here. And this is a trimmed version of Anna Maria Ferguson's Llewellyn Tarot. And it really is a beautiful deck. You can enter this deck on many, many layers, through many layers. And while the major arcana has a story that is associated with each of the majors, it's not necessary to know that story. You can add that later. And so I think that this is a deck that appeals to people for many, many reasons. So these are the paintings, the beautiful paintings. This is the wheel card of the major arcana. And look at this hanged man. It's just so stunning. And I think haunting is a beautiful way to describe the majors in this deck. And then the minors look a little more familiar. So we have, and they are more color coded. So Suit of Wands, Swords is a light blue color. Yeah, and these are very familiar looking images, primarily based on the Rider-Waite. And we have this lovely golden color outdoor in the field for the Suit of Pentacles. So if this is not a Rider-Waite-Smith clone that you have ever explored, this is definitely one that is highly palatable and easy to drink. And I want to also add that you will learn something in the process because the guidebook has and I want to say, even for the minors, it offers some different descriptions that might be familiar. So it's a wonderful, wonderful guidebook. Okay. Now, also in the cafe latte category, there's something about a latte, right? It's not as strong as an espresso, and a lot of people drink a latte because of the strength of the espresso. And so the Gaian tarot I want to say for many people is exactly this. There is, it's a little easier to drink. It's a little easier to drink. And this is the 20th card, the judgment card. And so we get away from the Christian symbology in the Waite-Smith deck. The only thing for me in this deck is I'm not really a fan of photorealism, and so there's a few cards in this deck where they're not my favorite. But I have to say, there's some really, really extraordinary pieces of art here. Now, this is the Llewellyn version. This is not the current version that's available. The deck is currently published by Schiffer. The canoe instead of the chariot. And so what I mean by palatable, so that is the death card. So we see It's just gorgeous. If you look closely at the scenery and the images. Hmm. This is the magician. And I think with this deck, there's also an opportunity to get to know something a little more powerful. So this is a deck that is strongly based in the elements. And we have here, so this is the Explorer of Fire, which really takes us into understanding what it means to work with fire. The quick cards are very well done, and this would be your Queen of Fire. So instead of the whole notion of the charismatic woman, we're looking at one who guards the fire, who is the fire keeper, who provides the environment where the fire can grow. And I really like what Joanna has done with this deck. Yeah, I'll show you. This is sorted for class. Oh, also this reminds me a lot of the Margaret Peterson in that way. So the suit of water is the feminine energy, divine feminine energy, and the suit of fire connected to masculine energy. And so we have this relationship. Um, Often we don't see a man and a woman in the two of fire, and I like that. Mark Peterson does this as well too. There's this idea of the two of cups and the two of fire having a powerful connection. Mm. I think the suit of water is definitely my favorite in this deck. Yeah. All right. So there is your second cafe latte deck. Now from there, we're going to go to cappuccino. So what is the difference between a latte and a cappuccino? Well, we definitely have less milk. So it's a little bit stronger. And the description that was offered by Kay is a deck that's classic, sophisticated, and maybe a little bit fussy. Yeah. So this one, I decided to go with two art decks. And this first one that I'm showing you by J.D. Hildegard Kinkle is the Majestic Earth Tarot. And one of the reasons I would put the Majestic Earth Tarot in this category is that it has both horizontal as well as vertical cards. And sometimes that can be a little, um, you know, it makes for a fussy deck. There is a level of, can I say, sophistication with art decks. I think art decks, especially, this is all any curated decks really take a bit of time to get to know the individual cards. And it's a particular taste as well, too, right? So you need to um, feel the art and appreciate the art and want to, I think, explore and study the art a little bit. Another one, actually, I wouldn't put it in this category, but another favorite curated art deck is by Robin Cole, and that is The Beautiful Dreamer, not The Beautiful Dreamer. Um, oh, I can't even think of the name. Robin Cole's art deck, and maybe somebody in the chat can help me out. What I like in that particular book is that in the guidebook, we see the entire painting. So remember that when we're looking at a curated deck, we're only seeing a portion. No, that's not the one. Um, I'll have to come back at another time. But if you look up Robin Cole, or I think it's Robin D. Cole, she's also the creator of a shadow deck that I recently shared with you. These are not mass market decks. And so we're only looking at a portion of a painting. And so there's something a little mysterious about this kind of decks. So this is the Majestic Earth, and it has element cards that are uh, horizontal. And when I'm working with this deck, leave in all of the extra cards. And I think any deck that has a bunch of extra cards, also the Lonely Dreamer Tarot, which is the other one I'm going to show you here, has extra cards. And sometimes that can throw you for a loop if you're not really familiar with the deck and they show up in a reading. Mhm. Here we go, Lonely Dreamer Tarot. Many of these decks I have done full walkthroughs. Um, Definitely done lots of readings with all of these. And for those of you that aren't familiar, on Tuesdays I do live readings on my channel most Tuesdays. This is the Lonely Dreamer Tarot. This is by Melissa Wotherspoon. And her Etsy um, has changed. She used to be Painter Spoon, but if you look up the deck by title, I'm sure you will find it. There's more than one version of this deck as well. Hi, Hannah, welcome. More than one. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, Saskia has it there. Thank you. The Robin Cole deck I was talking about is this one. Yes, the beautiful Rebellion Tarot. That's the one. Okay. And this one is Lonely Dreamer by Melissa Wotherspoon. This is I think this fits perfectly into Cappuccino. We have a moodiness to this deck as well too. There's definitely um, some very dark cards, and this art is by one artist, by Udon, and you might think that some of this art was by a different artist, just by the change in mood in some of these paintings. But it really is stunning, and there's some absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous colors. I love the purples and the reds, and it's a brilliant, brilliant deck to work with. And the golds are so gold. I think that word fussy, um, sometimes maybe that is a feeling you get when you are expecting a deck to be a Rider-Waite-Smith clone and it doesn't appear to be, and you have to work a little bit harder. I know that sounds like a bit like an other category. So that's the cappuccino. Okay. And Mira is here. Hello, Mira. Welcome. Mira is Merlin's daughter. All right, let's go to the mocha. Now, I didn't put a photo with whipping cream on here because we do have another drink that has whipping cream, but I know a mocha sometimes has whipping cream on it. Now, traditionally, mocha is just a flavor of coffee beans, but I believe for the most part, mocha also has chocolate in it. And this is a deck that is rich, indulgent, and a bit extra. I have to tell you, one of the most a bit extras that I have was a Kickstarter that I supported, and I do have a full walkthrough of this on my channel. Do you know what? I haven't taken this out since I did the walkthrough, and I think in the summer I'm going to take it out and try to. I love playing board games where people are around, and I'm going to work with this in the summer. So this bit extra project here not only is a board game, but also it can be used simply as a tarot deck. And it is lots of shiny gold things on it. This is the Sephiro Tarot. And it just kind of looks like a mocha to me. And a lot of people have, in that video where I shared this deck, had asked lots of questions about gameplay. And please know that I have gone back to the creators a couple of times to try to solve some of the answers. Maybe that's why I haven't played the game, because I'm waiting for answers. There are videos on how to play the game, but you don't have to have the game. You can simply um, use this, and it is a pip deck. I'm sure you've seen some pip cards already, as a tarot deck. And the other thing that is a bit fussy with this deck is I'm still breaking down the sticky edges. This is one of those decks that came together and that came and sometimes you receive a tarot deck and the way that it's processed, um, it all sticks together. And so I'm still breaking down these cards. So this is my first Mocha, a deck that's rich, indulgent, and a bit extra. I want to say a lot extra. This is a very large package of goods that came with this deck. All right, my second, a bit extra. And some of you might disagree with this one, but I have, looking for the bag, here we go. This is Dust to Onyx. This is the full-size version. So a bit extra. A bit extra in cost, for sure. But there's something about this deck that I find, again, rich is the most understated word, one of the most understated words to, I mean, when you look at this deck, there are eyes, there are actual human eyes behind the artwork. And it's something that gives this deck really, really special energy. The other thing that is, I find really cool in this deck, it's in the pseudo vessels, the pseudo gourds, pardon me, where the gourds are cracked and you see the water that is running down the artwork. And it almost appears like that you actually can feel it. It's like it has a texture to it. It's really kind of something. It's very, very special. So this is my, definitely think this is a mocha. One of the reasons that I purchased this deck, or maybe not so, one of the reasons that I continue to explore this deck is the haunting energy of the court cards. And I find them so mysterious. And while I'm not a woman of color, there's something really powerful that I feel with these court cards. And yes, there are some inspiring living humans that were also incorporated into this deck. So it definitely is a bit extra. And I always refer to this, the Five of Pentacles changed my whole view of how I read the Five of Pentacles. This deck changed everything for me with that. All right. The Cortada. Now, I had to look up Cortada. I've never ordered a Cortada or tasted one. So this is also a small espresso drink, but it does have milk in it. It's, I believe Cortada means cut. So the espresso is cut with milk. Hi, Annette. Welcome. Annette is Project Refined Life, and her video is linked below, and it is it's extraordinary what she's put together. I really, really enjoyed it. I would love to go to your coffee house with you, Annette. All right, so let's go to the Cortada. All right, a deck that's balanced and objective. I as soon as I read that description, the first deck that came to mind was the 5 cent, and the what I was thinking of in the 5 cent tarot, this is, Madame Clara 5 cent tarot, hotel motel gift shop on Etsy. This deck right out of the box became a very, uh, objective deck when people were asking questions about, um, financial situations, and I don't know if there's some sort of infused, energy from the name of the deck that is in here. But also, I think balance fits in because we do have keywords in both the reversed and the upright position on this deck. So, for those of you that don't read reversals, a deck like this might be a great way into, uh, oh, I'm reading Ink's comment. And this is really sorry for stopping here, but this is such a great comment. There are so many coffee drinks out there, and it would have been amazing. You could go on and on and on, and I want to thank Kay for the 13 that she offered, and I added a four I sorry, the 12. She did she did 13, and I added a 14th, which comes from Annette Project Refined Life. But so many great coffee drinks out there. But I think it's uh, kind of fun to share other ideas for other coffee drinks as well, because I could have really gone crazy here with this. But I find this to be a very um, balanced and objective tarot. It doesn't feel very emotional at all um, because it's based in words, and I find words are very left brain, and so it's very rational. It's very yeah. And at the same time, this is a small espresso drink, so we still have that powerful note. It's a little bit a little bit bitter, unless, of course, you sweeten it. Now the other one that I put into this category, we're gonna maybe this is not a deck that I had even begun to work with, but I believe, was it Robin? Her video is linked below as well too, that made me take out this deck, and I'm gonna be working with this over the next few months, and that's the Brady Tarot. And the way that this deck falls into the balanced and objective category, I just reread the introduction in the guidebook by Emmy Brady, and this is a deck that is inspired by the Handel Tarot, the Thoth Tarot, the Waite Smith Tarot. There's there's a lot of thought that has been put into how this deck comes together. But what Emmy says is that unlike Handel, she has worked with and been in connection with nature for a long time. And there's something here about what's the word I'm looking for? Reciprocity. Reciprocity feels like it is, and I see your comment there, Donna. Reciprocity feels fundamental to a deck that's balanced and objective. Um, there's something here I respect a lot, and I'm actually really looking forward to spending some time with this, and I'm not quite sure what my approach is going to be, but I will be sharing this more on my channel. For those of you that don't know this deck, the suit of fire is the suit of feathers. So this deck has changed up a little bit. The other thing here too that Emmy points out is that so the suit of cups is the suit of horns, um, horns used as drinking cups, that there is human influence in this deck. I'm not sure where ruining a Grand Marnier comes into the conversation, but yeah. So, so that is water, and the suit of air is arrows. And this is a very powerful suit. I just put it in order because I was looking at it this morning, and I'm definitely going to leave it out. And I want to say that the keywords on the deck would be inspired, would be Thoth inspired, but this is really Emmy's own take on the tarot. And I was I was moved in rereading the introduction to the guidebook. So this one is definitely going to stay out. Um, oh, I see, Donna, putting Grand Marnier in coffee. This is definitely going to stay out on my table, and I'm going to spend some time with this. So those are my two Cortado decks. All right. Um, this is definitely a drink that I need to start drinking. And I have read a couple of different descriptions on how an espresso con panna is made. And in some descriptions, it's made with cream, and others with whipped cream. So I'm not sure what your take on the con panna is, but this is something that really appeals to me, especially if the whipped cream has a little bit of flavor in it. Mm. Okay, so what am I going to do for this one? The description is a deck that puts you in your place, but with a hint of sweetness. Okay. Well, of course, I have to get one of Celia Melville's decks in this episode, just because I am one of her greatest spokespeople. And so I chose to put the Lily Black Tarot here. And I think this is a great espresso deck that has a really interesting take on the color that is in the white version of and one of the things that I really let's go this way. One of the things I really appreciate in this deck um, are the is the light. There's a very special there's something really special that you see in the colors and the way that this version of the deck is painted. I just While it's a little dark and mysterious, there's definitely some sweetness, definitely some brilliance to this deck. It's like a little bit of light in the dark. And this particular deck is the what do you call it? You know, the when you're talking about cardstock, the core. The core of this deck is so beautiful. This is one of my decks that shuffles most beautifully. And there is plenty of sweetness here. This is a lot of people love this take on the Four of Wands. And while you don't see the degree of pinks and brilliant colors that you see in the Lily White Tarot, I think this fits into Espresso con Panna really beautifully. So this is the Lily Black Tarot. Not to be confused with the Black Lily Tarot. Okay, and this one is comes out of France by Celia Melsville. All right, so now we are going to go to a tea of sorts. And this is the chai latte. Yeah. And I have to tell you, there's nothing like a chai, sharing a chai on the street in India, sitting in a kind of a squat position. Oh, I think I missed one, didn't I? I'm going to go back. I have one more campana. I have one more campana. Let's just go back. All right, so I have one other deck that puts you in your place, but with a hint of sweetness. And this is one of my all-time favorite decks that have been purchased and repurchased because I've passed it on to people. And that is Tarot of the Hidden Realm. When I read that description, a deck that puts you in your place, but with a hint of sweetness, this fits perfectly into that category. And I wrote down when I was doing my initial think on what decks I was going to share for this tarot tag, that I think a lot of Fae decks might fit in here. While there appears to be some sweetness and lightness in a Fae deck, I think that there's some fierceness here as well too. Definitely some fierceness, and I'm sure you've all seen the Morrigan card. Um, And even this one, oh my goodness, this is the Five of Cups. And this is a brilliant card to sit with and do some deep contemplation. There's also some elegance to this deck, I want to say. And I feel that the younger Fae that are in this deck really do have that. This is the Star card. It's just so beautiful. Um, the younger Fae in this deck really do have old soul kind of energy. This is your Eight of Swords. So it has that edginess, that fierceness, and it contrasts beautifully with the hint of sweetness. But I wanted to show you if I can find it. Yes, here it is. This is the Ten of Swords. There we go. So there, that is my second espresso campana. Tarot of the Hidden Realm. This is another Barbara Moore guidebook, and the artwork is by Julia Jeffrey. All right, now we're going to go back to chai. And as I was saying, the very best place to experience a chai is in India on the street, and or even in the train station. And I have so many great memories of just squatting down with a small cup. Oh, and I have another chai story that's really, I don't know how many of you have had a chai in. You would think I would be showing you a deck that feels like India here, but that's not really the description, so I'm not. But um, when you have and I'm sure this is in other countries as well too, but the chai is offered in like a terracotta cup. And so the terracotta cups are not washed, they're just thrown to the side. And you can see piles and piles of terracotta cups next to these chai stands. It's really something. So the description is a deck that's warm and cozy and nurturing. And I couldn't think of a deck more appropriate than the Future Ancestor Tarot. I spoke about this. I recently spoke about this deck in one of my other videos, and I believe it got a number one position in the indie version of what was it? Was it top tens or something like that? I find this deck has so much compassion, and it wants to open up and empower, and it's really beautiful. Um, so I think this is a perfect. This is a great chai latte card, and a chai does it makes you feel that way. I'm also going to tell you another thing about chai, um, and that is the sweetness that is in chai. The reason for the sweetness in the chai, according to, I want to say Ayurveda, according to Indian thinking, is that it helps to calm and to reduce vata. It's something that is um, soothing, and this is so contradictory to how we view sweetness in North America. But if you talk to somebody who is schooled in Ayurveda, there's something about adding a little sweetness that brings um, comfort and it reduces the excessive vata. So vata, it can keep us quite stimulated, overstimulated in the mind, and this can help to really slow things down. Uh, the experience of hanging out on a chai stand is really something not to be missed. All right, did I do two for that one? No, I have one other one for a chai latte. And this one, uh, exactly. This is all it's just so warm and cozy and nurturing. And just look at the colors. So beautiful. This is the Enchanted Tarot. This is a deck that's been around for 30 years or so. Um, I feel so calm, so calm when I read with this deck, and I feel well looked after. I feel well looked after and well nourished. It's just an oversized deck, and there is a lot that can be read into the artwork. This is artwork that is created with fabric collage. It is. It's really beautiful, and I think this is a perfect chai latte. And the chai, by the way, is made in a pot, like a soup pot in India. And all the spices, probably, I'm going to say that the spices are cooked in the bottom of the pot, and then the tea leaves and the hot water and the milk is added. Very different than we make a chai latte over here on the West Coast. Okay. Number 10 is matcha. Matcha. Now, if you have ever been to Japan and you've actually been to a tea ceremony, matcha is not served with milk. Matcha is served straight up, and it is extremely bitter. It is probably the most bitter drink I have ever had, and this is cut in Japan with a very soft, sweet. So you're served a very sweet, small treat with this very bitter tea. It definitely is an acquired taste, um, but really, really great in antioxidants. And there's lots of reasons to put matcha powder in your smoothie or whatever. It's quite an amazing drink. And so I chose two unconventional decks that are an acquired taste. And for some of you, these might be, because it's funny. I know for a couple of tarot tubers who I watch regularly, this is a deck that they use all the time. It's a standard deck. Now, this is the Marigold Tarot. This is a Canadian deck, and it is by Amrit Bar. And this is it's based on the Punjabi tradition. And it's I think this deck wins out a lot of the time for one of the very best decks to shuffle. And not even really knowing anything about this particular culture, there is there's a lot that is revealed in this deck. It's a really, really good reader. And if you are, let's say, you quite enjoy reading with like the Santa Morita or something like that, this is one that I would say is definitely worthy of exploring. The guidebook is excellent, and there's a lot of extras and resources that are available with this deck as well. So this is the Marigold Tarot. And just when this is another deck that reminds me so much of India. Marigolds everywhere. Marigolds are part, um, definitely part of sacred offerings, and yeah, so an acquired taste, but it's pretty great deck. And then I have another deck that has flowers on it, and I can't tell you what version. Maybe it says on here. I think this is 4th edition. Not sure. Um, and this is the Unasia Tarot. Um, I love the unconventionality of this deck. Not only its shape, but they take on some of these cards is really quite something. I also love that it's not in English. And this color palette is one that I just adore. I just adore. And this tower card, oh my goodness, talk about unconventional. Mhm. But I wanted to show you a couple of my favorite cards because it really, really speaks to the yogi in me. And I have a feeling that the creator of this deck, I'm sorry, I don't know the real name, or I do, but I've forgotten it. Oh, isn't that interesting? Also, it has the green in it as well. I never thought of that. That is so funny. I'm sure that she practices yoga because there's just there's a lot of hinting to that in the deck. And the only thing I want to say that won't work in this deck for some people is that it's all young women. So there's zero. Well, there's some guys in this deck too, but like this is a really interesting double card. But because of the number of cards in this deck that really have got me thinking about, and you know, it's funny because look at this. I'm showing you. This is the Emperor card, and I just showed you the Marigold Tarot. And you know, I've never read with these two decks side by side. And I think um, that they might actually work together. Hmm. Where's Sadhana's favorite card? Oh well. Come on. This is another beautiful card too. Okay, well, we'll just go on. Maybe it's on an altar somewhere. Okay, there we go. So that is my second matcha deck. I think it's hilarious how the green actually looks like matcha. All right, now where are we going to go from here? So the next category is hot chocolate. Hot chocolate. What's going on here? Oh, I see where I see. Okay, tech. There we go. Hot chocolate. A deck that speaks to a younger version of yourself. I want to share with you a younger version of myself. And I don't know how many of you remember those velvet black light posters. Do you remember them? And this is a deck that reminds me of those velvet black light posters. And this particular company called Tarot Collectibles has actually produced a black light deck. And I didn't purchase it because I already had this one. This is the Groovy Weight by Tarot Collectibles. And honest to God, this reminds me so much of what my bedroom looked like in the 70s. And it just makes me laugh. And it's funny how I have embraced some of this later in life as well too. Yeah, this is the Groovy Weight Tarot. And I love the colors are so fun. The Knight of Cups coming out of his cup is a little heart that says, "All you need is love." And Tarot Collectibles prints their decks in various versions. They come and they go, and sometimes they come back a little bit improved. And I don't know what decks they're presently publishing. This is the Five of Pentacles with the peace sign and for the Pentacles. But they're the decks that they are, and that's a lot, right? That's the same with a lot of indie decks. The decks kind of come and go, and you kind of have to stay on top of it. But yeah, this definitely reminds me of a younger version of myself. I'm sure I had an outfit that looked exactly like that. That is The Groovy Weight by Tarot Collectibles. And I believe that the boxes, you can order the deck without the boxes. And these decks also come with an abundance of extra cards. And I have to say that was one of the most expensive. The day that I pressed buy and I purchased the Trip and Wait, the Groovy Weight, the Winter Weight, and all of the extra cards, that was a ridiculous amount of money that I spent on tarot cards that day. All right, so another hot chocolate deck. When I say that word, I just think of that song from that Christmas movie. Um, and this deck reminds me of a Hans Christian Andersen uh, storybook that I had as a child. And this is Tarot of the Divine. And I still actually have this book. Um, and there's when I before I actually purchased this deck, I purchased the accompanying there's a storybook. So in this particular deck, you get the little white book, but there's also a storybook that you can purchase. And there are single stories, like single page stories for each of the cards. And I so enjoyed reading that because I remember many of these fairy tales from my childhood. And this is, I don't know, I really, of all of the fairy tale tarots out there, this is one that I really like, really, really like. So this is my second hot chocolate thing. And another thing I love about that little book too is that it doesn't go on for pages and pages and pages. It gets to the nitty-gritty of the fairy tale. So you get the gist of the story, so you don't have to, like, that's one of my, beefs about there's a few fairy tale decks out there, right? And some of them, the stories are rather long. And I've no problem reading long stories. It's just when you're trying to get to know a tarot deck, sometimes you just need a short version of the story, and that's what you get in the accompanying hardcover storybook that comes with, not with, it's an extra buy on. Okay, so Groovy Way and Tarot of the Divine are my hot chocolate decks. This is so fun. The reason I'm broadcasting today is because I went on a trip this weekend, and I actually went into a coffee shop bakery that was called Hot Chocolate, and it was amazing, and the reason I'm sharing this with you is because they had every flavor of Italian soda that was possible. I've never seen so many of those glass bottles, and they were making like all kinds of crazy Italian sodas. It was really something. And I bought some chocolate there, and I had a really delicious, delicious mocha that was made with that was a bit spicy. It was so good, had chili in it. Oh, amazing, amazing. Italian soda, a deck that's fun, low key, and not overly serious. All right. One of you just mentioned this deck, and this is also a deck by Tarot Collectibles, and this is the Winter Weight. Now, the Winter Weight comes in a few different iterations, and this is the borderless one that doesn't have any um, keywords on it. And I hardly ever pull this out. This is not a deck to be taken seriously. Um, but you can see it's very, it looks very much like the Rider-Waite, and it's kind of fun. There are, and I have an enormous stack of cards that I'm not working with. So you even get a snowman, and I mean, how are you supposed to take that Seven of Fire seriously? What else do we got here? Of course, there's a Christmas tree and the Ten of Pentacles. Naughty and nice. This is the Chariot card that I left in. So yeah, not an entirely serious deck here. That's the Winter Weight by Tarot Collectibles. And it's funny, I have not been to their website in a very, very long time, so I have no idea what they're up to now. I know I was very interested in the Blacklight deck, but I didn't get it because I had the other ones. So yeah. The other Italian, the one that feels like an Italian soda to me is the Playful Heart. And I know that um, this deck is a really good reader. I would not say this is a fluffy deck in any way. It's just that it is fun, and it's really sweet. Um, but it's a really good reader. And I would say that this deck is a little more serious than the one I last showed you, but this is one, I want to say this is the only sweet deck that is left, like sweet deck that's left in my library. I no longer have the Way of the Panda. I no longer have the Magical Forest. I don't have that one anymore. Yeah. So this is the Playful Heart Tarot. And Creator's name is goes by Kitten Chops. Yeah. So that is Italian, and it looks just like Italian, all the different flavors of Italian soda. Yeah. All right, we have a couple more prompts, and the next one. All right, what is the next one? Herbal tea. And I'm sure that you know exactly where I'm going with this because I spend so much time with this deck. And I did cut it. I'm not entirely pleased with the trim job. The edges are, it's fine. Like I did a good job cutting, um, but in trimming this deck, the backs get really weird. They have this white border on the bottom, and I suppose I could cut off the keywords, but I really wanted to leave the keywords on the deck. And this is the Herb Crafter Tarot. This is another deck that I did a most enjoyable deep dive with, and actually that deep dive was also amazing. I know Tamian was in a lot of those live streams, and many of you have come back and watched the replays. This has been a very powerful deck for me, and this is a deck that is not just for summer. This is a deck that um, wants to be worked with all year long. There is a lot of messages and layers in this deck. It really, really does help you unwind. It makes you want to connect with the plants. It makes you want to make your own tea. It really does. This is such a soothing and um, this deck is so nourishing for the soul. Uh, it makes you want to learn more about how to care for yourself through the herbs. It's just beautiful. This is a brilliant cup of herbal tea. And I have another herb deck for my second choice. And this is one that I have not spent a lot of time with. And it's an enormous deck, and it's by Jessica Bott, and it's called the Botanical Deck. And I have sorted, so when I put my cards away, I put them into two sections. So it comes with a complete oracle deck and a complete tarot deck. And you can read with all of the cards together in one enormous deck, but I don't. Um, and this is another one that just makes me want to connect with plants. And so we have the suit of spices. This is sorted. The suit of spices. The suit of cacti. The suit of flowers. And you know, when I do pull this deck out, I love having multiple plant decks out at the same time. Um, it's it's almost like I just want to surround myself with plants and flowers. And for the suit of pentacles, it's the suit of crops. Mhm. And then for the major arcana, it's trees. This is a very soothing deck. And again, I get that sense of wanting to connect with plants. Yes, I did. I'm just seeing Hannah's comment now. I finally trimmed my herb crafters. So this is my herbal tea number 2, the botanical deck by Jessica Bott. And the final prompt is by the lovely Annette, who is in the chat, and that is Project Find Life. and that is the Americano, which is actually a drink that I really enjoy. I really do. Just that really nice, rich coffee flavor. Okay. What a mess I have made with my cards. It's okay. So um, as Annette described, the Americano is a drink that was created after World War II, during World War II in Italy. The Americans just couldn't take the full strength of Italian coffee, and so hot water is added to the coffee, and we have the Americano. So this is, I really put some thought into this because Annette shared the a watered a watered down version of the Thoth Tarot, the Outgrow Yourself Tarot, and I thought that was a yeah, that the Thoth Tarot is not accessible to everyone. There is so much to work with in that particular deck, and so Outgrow Yourself focuses on a particular aspect of that deck, and it also is a tarot oracle as well too. So I chose for the Americano, um, a softer version of the Tarot de Marseille, which is probably the one that is most frequently on my little rack over here. And this is the one by Laurie LePage. And this is the Tarot de Ozar. And I absolutely love this deck. I know that, if you are a Marseille aficionado, this one doesn't sit well with you, but this is, yeah, this is just for me, this is my favorite, actually. Mm, yeah. And especially these pentacles. And I also love what Laurie has done with the flowers and the vines and all of that. And if you're new to reading Tarot de Marseille, one of the maybe this is a way that would get you into reading these cards is that it's not just about counting the number of cups on the card, but there's images, there's energy that is created with the way that the flora moves through the deck. So this is a US creator in the Ozarks. Yeah, but her name is Laurie LePage. So that is my first Americano, probably my favorite Americano. And then my second Americano is a favorite um, Wade Smith variation. Um, and it's kind of it's not it's I never even read with this for other people. This is a personal deck. This is my birthday deck. Um, I read with this in mostly in the summer. I always take it out for my birthday readings. And this is Dane Darcy's Mermaid Tarot. And while it looks very Waite Smith-like, um, it definitely has a different vibe to it. And and it's funny when I'm just looking at the title now, watered down version, and this is this is mostly set in the water. This is the Dame Darcy Mermaid Tarot. Mhm. The expression on that King of Cups is quite funny. Yeah, kind of looks like Zeus for the Hermit. So yeah, so that's my Americano. Oh, you're welcome, Warrior Girl. That is a wrap for coffee house decks, and I wanna tell you that this particular tag was, so much fun to put together. It took a little bit of work to um, find all of this, but it was definitely worth the effort. Yeah. So if you are watching the playback or you wanna come back and make any comments, later on and you have other coffee drinks, please add that down below, because there's lots that I was thinking of, and I know some of the other creators also added other coffee drinks as well too, because there's a bazillion of them. So thanks for joining me, and, good night to all of you. Good afternoon, good day, wherever you are in the world. Bye for now. See you soon.